Okay, so yesterday we had spoken about Yaakov Avinu, the true strength. That was the verse. And I just go back for 1 second to page 144 again. And I just want to show you one point over here on page 144 where Yaakov Avinu, Rashi says, where is it? Just 1 second, let me just make sure I got the right pasuk here. Just 1 second. Where am I? Oh, okay. Here we go. Yaakov Avinu lies down, and then when he wakes up, he puts on he puts up the stone, and where? Just 1 second. I'm still mixed up. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. I have to find this. I'm not in the right place. Where is it? No. Before that, just 1 second. Yeah, okay, there we go. 28:13. Page 144. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Okay. So it says, V'inei Hashem, he has the dream, and in the dream, 5 lines down, 5 lines on the top. V'inei on page 144. V'inei Hashem nitzav alav. Hashem was, how does the article translate? Hovering over him, standing over him. The land that you are lying on, I'll give it to you and to your offspring. Yaakov wasn't lying on the land. I wouldn't say to somebody, well, the land you're lying on. I would say the place you're lying on. You don't lie on the entire land. So look what Rashi says. What does it mean? Rashi says, where's Yud Gimel? Left column, 8 lines from the bottom. Shochev aleha, kipel HaKadosh Baruch Hu kol Eretz Yisrael tachtav. HaKadosh Baruch Hu folded up all of Eretz Yisrael and put it underneath Yaakov Avinu. Ramaz lo, that was a hint, shetehei nocha likavesh lebanov. It'll be easy for his children to conquer. You know, they go into Eretz Yisrael and they had to conquer 31 kings. They blow the shofars and the walls of Jericho come down. Right, the walls of Jericho get swallowed up into the earth. So Yaakov Avinu is lying there, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu folds up all of Eretz Yisrael and puts it under Yaakov Avinu, whatever that means. I don't know exactly how you fold something round. I don't know how you fold something round. I had this question as a little kid. It says that Yosef has a dream that the sun and the moon are bowing down to him. Right? How does a moon is round? How does something round bow down? I'm not sure exactly how that works. They have little feet, hands. I'm not sure exactly what that means. That was my question as a little kid. I've never had an answer for it either. That's sometimes the kids ask the best questions. Whatever the case is, the Torah is teaching us something here. What does it mean? He folded all Vayeitzei to Yaakov Avinu. What does that mean? So there are two ideas I heard in the commentaries. First of all, did you ever hear the idea that in the Beis Hamikdash, they stood crowded together? Thank you very much. They stood crowded together, that's vodka. So what good is it? They stood crowded together. But when they bowed down, there was room for everybody to bow down in the Beis Hamikdash. They're sitting, a picture, a bunch of people are standing shoulder to shoulder in the Beis Hamikdash. Crowded, shoulders are like at a tish. You ever been in a tish? You're crowded. And then if everybody has to bow down, all of a sudden there's room for everybody to bow down, and nobody's crowding you. That's a miracle. Right? So there's a concept that the hechzik hamuat es hameruba, a small area could hold a large area, could hold a large amount of people. We find that later in the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu calls the entire Jewish people to the entrance of Ohel Moed. You talk about a camp that, took a couple of million people, that took up 12 kilometers of the desert, of camps, of tents and everything else. He calls them all together, 2.5 million people, and they're all standing in front of Ohel Moed. How could they all be standing in front of Ohel Moed? So there's a concept. The Gemara says, Hichazik muat es hameruba. It's a miracle. Defies we can't possibly relate to something like that a small space holds more than it could possibly hold. You're talking about beyond nature. Where else do we find this sort of thing? Anybody know? The most famous place we find it? Yes, the Aron Kodesh in the base of Mikdash. The Gemara says the Aron Kodesh didn't take up any space. That means if you measured from one wall to the Aron Kodesh, it would be 10 amos. You measured from the other wall to the Aron Kodesh, it's 10 amos, and one wall to the other is 20 amos. The Aron Kodesh was on 2.5 by 1.5. So how can you measure 10 amos, 10 amos? That means it didn't take up any space. What does that mean? What it means at a deeper level is that it could be something physical that's so spiritual that doesn't take up any space in the physical world.
Also the teva, right?
Huh?
Also the teva. He made the teva.
No.
He made the teva.
Who made the teva? Which the teva? Noach's teva? No, Noach's teva took up space. Noach's teva.
Wasn't it also a miraculous thing that so many people...
Yeah, yes, that's somebody think, yeah, but the Aron Kodesh is also called a teva. They also called a teva. And even Winston Churchill said about Sir Clement Attlee, who he couldn't stand, he said an empty cab pulled up at Parliament today, and Sir Clement Attlee stepped out. That's what he said about Sir Clement Attlee. So we have this concept. So one idea is that Yaakov Avinu is containing the entire Eretz Yisrael in him. Hechzik mu'ates hamaruba. The whole Eretz Yisrael is under Yaakov Avinu. But there's a much deeper idea here. And the deeper idea is a more practical idea. What's the merit of Eretz Yisrael? What gives us the right to be on Eretz Yisrael? What is our merit for living in Eretz Yisrael if we're the Yaakov Avinus? When you're a Yaakov Avinu, you could be in Eretz Yisrael. What does that mean? That if we are learning Torah and obedient to Torah, then we have Eretz Yisrael. When the Jewish people were not loyal to Torah, they were driven out of Eretz Yisrael. So Yaakov Avinu lying with Eretz Yisrael folded up under Yaakov Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is communicating it's the merit of the Jewish people who come from Yaakov Avinu behaving like Yaakov Avinu that gives us the rights to be in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is not a land like any other land. If you're looking for materialism, you could go just about anywhere else in the world. There are better trains. Yeah, better trains in Russia. I think Russia's got the best underground system, the best train system. London, you want entertainment? Believe me, you could do better in many other countries with entertainment. I don't know if you ever heard Israeli comedians. They have these stand-up comics. I mean, they are about at fourth grade level. They're still putting something on their head and going, bark, 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 and everybody goes, ah, it's so really, it's embarrassing. What can I tell you? It's embarrassing. Sports. I mean, Israeli professional sports teams. Really, honestly, I've seen better. And what do you call it? If you want something, so Eretz Yisrael is for Torah, and the merit of the Jewish people is the Torah. We have the Torah. That's what we get Eretz Yisrael. That's the idea. Okay, let's go on. If you look at Perek Chav Tes Pasuk Aleph, 29:1. So. The Torah uses on page 146, 3 lines from the bottom. Vayeitzei Yaakov Raglov, Yaakov picks up his feet, Vayelech Artza B'nei Kedem. And he goes off to the land of the east. He's going off down to the house of Lavan. So there's a discussion here. Something in this pasuk seems to be redundant, which is, you say it. He lifted his feet. Well, how do you walk? And most people walk by lifting their feet, except for 9-year-olds who got new shoes and want to see how much the noise they make and rub them out on the ground. And the father says, "Would you pick up your feet?" But most people, when they walk, you pick up your feet. So why did it say Yaakov picked up his feet and he went to the land of Eretz B'nei Kedem? What do you say?
Because they were heavy. They didn't want to go. They didn't want to go there.
Not a bad idea. You mean he had to force himself to go? Okay, good. I never thought that. It's a very interesting idea. Blina, I'm going to write that down. That he's got to force himself to go because he's going to go off to be with a bunch of Lavans and people like that. But the Mefarshim say, several Mefarshim say, Yaakov lifted up his feet. I mean, there's certain people in life, their feet carry them. Some people carry their feet. That means, where did you end up? You ended up wherever your feet took you. Say, hey, let's go downtown and see where we end up. And wherever your feet happen to take you. You're not taking your feet are taking you. As opposed to a person, a Yaakov Avinu, you take your feet. That means I've decided where I want to go, and then my feet follow me. I told you I had a group here years ago. And it was after I had asked these guys There's a summer program. Most of the guys were not observant. And I asked them if they plan on fasting on Yeshivat Ohr B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz. So some of the guys said, we'll see. So the day after the fast, I went around the room. I said, Mike, did you fast? He says, no, I'm not into that sort of thing. I said, Mark, did you fast? He goes, yeah, probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Then there's one guy, Tom. Now this guy he was just your typical loose he's just a happy-go-lucky guy. And I said, hey, Tom, did you fast? He goes, well, I'll tell you the truth, I was planning on it, but then I was walking downtown and I passed the falafel shop and then something happened. I remember that. He would say, something happened. Yeah, you walk past the falafel shop on a fast day, something's going to happen. Hey, you didn't take your feet took you. So Yaakov Avinu carries his feet and he goes off. Okay, now go back. Yesterday we started with Rachel, and here comes the big question. Everybody's going to ask just the big question. It says, Yaakov gives the feet, on page 148, Vayishak Yaakov leRachel, Yaakov kisses Rachel, Vayisa es kolo vayevk. He raises his voice and he cries. Now, in this whole episode with Yaakov, everybody, Yaakov could kiss Rachel. My goodness, how could you kiss Rachel? Okay, first let's keep something in mind. Yaakov's about 77 at this point. Rachel's about probably 12, right? So the Medrash says there are different types of kisses. There's a kiss of relatives. When you see a relative, you kiss a relative, which is what this was. And there's sometimes a kiss of departure. When you leave somebody, there's a kiss of somebody rising to a position of authority. So you give them a kiss for good luck, whatever it is. Yaakov kisses Rachel. So everybody asks, and then it says, and then he cried. So Rashi says he cried because he saw prophetically she wasn't going to be buried with him. Right? So there are those, people wonder, how could Yaakov kiss Rachel? Well, if you stop and think, he hasn't seen a family member in 14 years. Right? He was in Yeshiva before, he hasn't seen a family member. There was a medrash that he did go home before he left. But that medrash aside, Yaakov didn't see anybody before. This first family member that he sees after 14 years, there's Rachel. And because he had asked them, do you know Lavan? And they said, yeah, and there's Rachel coming with the sheep. Now, what happens is Yaakov decides right away that he wants to marry her. Some people say tongue-in-cheek, yeah, he kissed Rachel and he cried because he knew later on in history people are going to laugh at this kiss. They're going to say, hey, why did he kiss? So he cried. That's just tongue-in-cheek. A little boy suggested that he kissed Rachel for the same reason you see a Sefer Torah comes past. What do? You kiss the Sefer because of the Kedusha. So he sees the Kedusha. I got to be very careful when I say this, guys. Don't go looking for Kedusha now. Just stick with the Kedusha. The Kedusha is only in the base medrash. That's the Kedusha. Don't go. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Kedusha, the old Kedusha. Yeah. No Kedusha. Right. So it's just very creative what a little kid says. A little kid says a Sefer Torah passes by, and I see a Sefer Torah. You kiss it. Okay. So, Vayage Yaakov leRachel ki achiavahu. Yaakov tells Rachel that he is her father's colleague. He's really the brother, meaning that he's relative. V'chi ben Rivkahu v'toretz v'taged le'avia. So she goes and tells her father, our cousin Yaakov is here. My cousin Yaakov has arrived. Now, Vahiki Shema Lavan Shema Yaakov ben Achoso. He hears the name of Yaakov, his sister's son. Vayoratz likraso. He runs out. Why is Lavan running out? What happened the last time a relative came? 10 camels loaded with all. Oh, Yaakov's here. Hey! Vayechabek lo. He hugs him, and while he's hugging him, he's trying to see if there's anything in the pockets. Vayenashek lo, kisses him, and there's nothing hidden, no diamonds hidden in his teeth. Vayuvio el beso, in his cheeks. He's trying to see. Maybe he's got something. He might put the diamonds in there. Vayesaper Lavan is called for him. He tells Lavan everything that happened. He tells Lavan, I'm running away from Esav, and the Medrash says that Esav had sent his son Eliphaz after Yaakov. Eliphaz was the oldest son of Esav. And he sent Eliphaz after Yaakov to kill him. But when he got to Yaakov, and Yaakov said to Eliphaz, here, take all my possessions. And the Gemara says, he says, yeah, but my father, what am I going to do with my father's command? He said, to kill you. So Yaakov said, a poor man is considered as if he's dead. So he gave Eliphaz the money, and that Eliphaz let him live. That's what the Medrash says. And then Yaakov shows up empty-handed. So Yaakov shows up by Lavan, and Yaakov shows up empty-handed, and Lavan's a little disappointed because he expected to see some cash. Okay. In this incident with Yaakov and Rachel, So the Torah says that Lavan says to Yaakov the following. Now, pay attention carefully, because every sentence here, you're going to see the deviousness of Lavan. Yaakov says to Lavan, that's why I've shown up empty-handed. I got chased out. I had to run away, even without the medrash. He's just saying, I ran away. I wasn't have time to load anything up. That's why I don't have anything with me. V'yomer lelavan achatzbu b'soriata. Listen, you're my flesh and blood. You're my relative. Page 150, top line. V'yeshev imo chodesh yamim. Now pay attention very carefully. Vayomer Lavan liYaakov, Hachiyachiata, are you my relative? Vavaratani chinam, you're going to work for nothing? Hagida lima maskurtecha, tell me your price. What Lavan's saying to Yaakov is, the Medrash, the Gemara says when he met Rachel, he said to Rachel, I want to marry you. Rachel said, yeah, I want to marry you too, except my father isn't going to let me go ahead of my sister, she's older. So Yaakov said, and he's going to try to deceive you. So Yaakov said, I'm his brother, meaning, don't worry, if he gets involved in deception, I could compete with him too. Right? I'm a good deceiver if I have to be a deceiver. And in the end, Lavan does deceive him. We'll see in a second. Lavan manages to deceive him. But Lavan over here says to Yaakov, Yaakov's there for a month. And Lavan says, hey, wait, you going to stay for free? Tell me what your price is. That means, look at the words again. Vayomer lo Lavan, ach atzmi ubesoriata. You're my flesh and blood. That means, Vayomer Lavan liYaakov, hachiachiat, are you my brother? Vavaratani chinam agidi li ma maskurtecha. Are you a sneak like me? And you're going to work for free? Now, I know that if I were you, it wouldn't end up being for free. It would be a price. Tell me what your price is. It means when you suspect somebody, Lavan, people who are sneaks, everybody they look at, they think is sneaky. Somebody who's honest thinks everybody else is honest. Somebody who's a sneak thinks that somebody who's a cheat assumes everybody else is a cheat too. So Lavan looks at Yaakov and says, you're saying for free. Now, I know that if I were you, in your position, even if I were doing something for free, I know that in the end I would charge for it. I'd figure out a way to say, so what are you planning? Come on, let's get it out in the open. Tell me your price. Tell me your price. Let's go. Ulalavan shtei banos. He has two daughters. Shema Gedol Leah, Shema Ktana Rachel. Ve'ene Leah rakos. Leah had soft eyes. According to one of them before, she had beautiful eyes. Ve'Rachel Haisa Yafas Tor V'Yafas Mara. Rachel was very beautiful. Others say that Leah's eyes were soft because she was crying. Why was she crying? The Medrash says there were rumor mongers in those days. They had People magazine, right? And People magazine reported that Rivka has two sons and Lavan has two daughters. The older daughter for the older son and the younger daughter for the younger son. So there are rumors that Leah's going to marry Esav and Yaakov's going to marry Rachel, and Leah's not too happy about that. She doesn't want to marry Esav. So she cried, but it doesn't mean she sat in a corner and cried. When it says that she cried, what kind of crying is it? She cried in tefillah. She davened, which answers another question. Leah has children right away. Rachel doesn't. Rivka didn't. Sarah didn't. Why did Leah have children right away? Because the davening that she should have been doing for children, she's already done that davening. Remember we spoke about what the purpose of davening is. Withholding children is to get you to daven, but she was already davening because she was already afraid that she's going to marry Esav. Oh, she davened already, so there's no need for her to withhold for the children. She's already accomplished that. And Yaakov wants to marry Rachel. Now, let's understand this. This is ridiculous. Yaakov's a prophet. Yaakov is a Navi. And as a Navi, he had a prophecy with the ladder. And now he says he's a girl. He fell in love. It's so. First of all, the external beauty, according to our sources, external beauty is often an indication, not always, but it's often an indication of an internal beauty. Sometimes you look at a person and you see an external beauty, they are not what we would call Hollywood beautiful. It's not what Hollywood beautiful. But you look at a certain person and say, there's a certain beauty there. There's a beauty that shines through. That's the internal beauty that's coming out. Sometimes you can see somebody who looks like Hollywood beautiful, and they ruin it all by opening their mouth. Right? They just say something, and you could just and they can't even look at them anymore. They can't even look at it anymore. They just everybody else thinks this person is beautiful, and you see this person, it's so unattractive to you. Once you get to know the person, you don't even see the beauty anymore. I've had situations like this with unfortunately with marriages and stuff like that, where husbands complain that the wife may objectively be attractive, then the husband can't stand her. And the husband doesn't see what anybody else sees because he knows her. And, and for sure the other way. Well, but that's often the way it is, that a person, the physical disappears. We've spoken in the past about the word face. How do you say a face in Hebrew? Panim. What does the word mean? What is panim? What is panim? It means the inner. Is that strange? Isn't that strange? The most external part, the most public part. Everything else is covered up. Oh, our face, only our face shows. And yet our face means internal. Why is that? The answer is because what's going on inside is written on a person's face. Isn't that remarkable? What's going on inside, you can look at a person and sense this is a dishonest person. You can look at a person and see Kedusha. You can sense there's a certain Kedusha. Something inside, it registers on a person's face. I still find it remarkable to this day that an infant, a baby at 2 months old, 3 months old, I was just talking to my granddaughter this morning about this. She's 6 months old. And, you look at a child, and the child makes eye contact. Isn't it remarkable that they know to make eye contact? I was talking, my grandson is about 2 months old. I was talking to him about this also. Right? And he makes that, very precocious children, of course. And he makes contact also. By the way, I find what comes out of their mouth it's much more intelligent than what comes out of many adults' mouths. But that's good. That's the best thing I've heard all day. And yet they always make eye contact. And if you smile, they smile at you. It's a remarkable thing that they could sense what's going on. So that's panim. So there's this external beauty that reflects an inner perfection. Yaakov Avinu is a Navi. He's a prophet. It wasn't like he saw the girl downtown and fell in love. Yaakov Avinu, it works in the opposite direction. If I'm feeling an attraction to her, this is something that must be that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to feel this. Because this is not for a man who's been studying in yeshiva 14 years and doesn't lie down in bed. This isn't something that should be that is part of his entire personality. This doesn't fit. And Yaakov Avinu understands that if there is an attraction here, that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants this attraction, wants me to marry her. Not that I got attracted, now I'll find a reason. It must be Bashert. Because in the other day, it's Bashert, therefore he feels the attraction, as opposed to how most people go about it. Now, most people go about it and say, well, I like what she looks like, therefore I'm going to make it Bashert. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. By Yaakov Avinu, it doesn't work. For most people, it does. By Yaakov Avinu, it doesn't work that way. And therefore, the Torah is telling you, Yaakov says, Yaakov is Rachel. Yaakov loves Rachel. Yaakov understands, if I'm attracted to her and I feel a strong emotion to her, so then this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. Vayomer evodcha sheva shanim berachel bitcha aktana. I'll work 7 years for you, Rachel, your younger daughter. No, it's obvious Rachel's the younger daughter. Right? Why does Yaakov emphasize it? By the way, this has become an expression in the vernacular. When somebody says, well, should I speak to the guy? Yes, make it 100%, make it clear to him, Rachel bitcha haktana. That's the expression we use. Make it clear, Rachel bitcha haktana. So Rashi says, because Yaakov says, Rachel, well, there are a lot of Rachels. Your daughter, I got a few daughters. Haktana. I'm telling you, hey, that's the one I'm working for. That's the Rachel I'm working for. Rachel bitcha haktana. No other Rachel. No substitute Rachel. So Yaakov says, I'll work 7 years for Rachel. That's the price. I'll be your shepherd for 7 years for Rachel. Now, what's the goal? Why does Yaakov do this? Why does Yaakov decide? Lavan says, okay, now go to Pasuk Chaf. Then we're going to come back and put this together. Vayavod Yaakov berachel sheva shanim. He works for 7 years. Vayu be'enav ki yomim achodim be'avos osa. It seemed like just a few days, a short period of time, because of his love of her. Don't you see a problem with that? You have a problem with that? When does time pass quickly and when does time pass slowly? When you're having fun, go quickly. When you're not having fun, it goes slowly. Do you think, was Yaakov having fun for 7 years waiting to marry Rachel?
Yeah.
He was?
No, but
No way.
I would have thought, when you're looking forward to something, like a shear to end, right? Time crawls by, right? When you're on a bus and you're trying to get somewhere and it's important to get there, you got to get somewhere, time seems to crawl by. When you're working a job that you don't like, time crawls by. When you need to study for a test and you wish you had more time, time flies. Right? Right? True or not true?
Right, but
enjoyed the work.
The excitement of the, so to speak, the love, he was...
It works in the opposite direction. A guy who's waiting to get married, time crawls by. Time crawls by. Yet, here it says that the time went fast. So there are different explanations. First of all, why does Yaakov say 7 years? Yaakov named the price. He said, what do you want? Name your price. I'll work 7 years for Rachel. Why didn't he say a month? And then let Lavan raise the price. Why 7 years? The answer is twofold. Yaakov feels and he knows that he's about to start building the Jewish people. We have these prophecies from Avram and Yitzchak that you're going to have the Jewish people are going to come. So Yaakov Avinu understands, number one, I need a preparation now. I need a preparation now. I'm about to start building the Jewish people. I need a different type of preparation. And Rachel needs a preparation. She's been raised by a Lavan father. She needs a 7-year ulpan now to see that what a man like Yaakov is, so that she could learn that there's a different type of person in the world. 7 is always a unit. 7 is always a unit of completion, that we know. 7 is a unit of completion, that there's 7 days of the week, 7 days of Shiva. It's always a unit of completion. 7 years for Rachel. Why did it seem to pass quickly? Why did it seem to pass quickly? For the same reason that when you're studying for a test, the time passes quickly. When you really want to study, and the time is just flying because I need more time. Yaakov feels the preparation for somebody to do what we're going to do now and build the Jewish people. I need time. Whoa, it's already 7 years. I haven't gotten to the level that I want to get to. That's why it passes quickly. There's another opinion that says Yaakov feels that 7 years is a bargain for a treasure like Rachel. Right, Yaakov feels 7 years. 7 years. It's like they say to your wife, your boy, like to give you a diamond ring. There's no diamond in the world that's worth as much as you. Right, therefore, I bought the cheap one anyway, because you can. Anyway, that's not worth much. Yes, I may as well buy the cheap one. Ainli b'pachos mechetzia. I mean 0. anyway, there's no. Oh yeah, good. As I was gonna, and there's no dinner that's worth as much. You have some tuna fish. Yeah, So Rachel is what do you go? Rachel is a prize. Now I'm going to tell you a pshat that's going to blow you away. That pshat that's going to blow you away, and you can't ask any questions. You got to hear the ring. You got to hear the ring of the truth. You got to hear the ring like a symphony. Vayomer Yaakov Lavan, Hava esishti kimolu yomai. Yaakov says to Lavan, okay, it's time for me to get married. Vayesov Lavan es kol anshe hamokom vayas mishta. He makes a big banquet. Vayehi ba'erev, and it is in the evening. Vayikach es Leah bito vayavei oso elo vayovo eleh. Yaakov, Lavan pulls a switch. They're obviously in a dark room, and Yaakov marries Leah by accident. Vayehi ba'boker, 3 lines said, Veineu Leah, it's in the morning, oh, it's Leah. Vayover Lavan mazos asisoli. What'd you do? Hello, barachal vadi yimach. So why'd you cheat me? So the question is, how did he pull this switch? How did Lavan pull this switch? Just stay with us, gentlemen. Stay with us, okay? The Gemara says that Yaakov and Lavan and Rachel, Yaakov and Rachel had worked out a code. There was a code that Yaakov, suspecting Lavan would try something like this, he worked out some sort of password with Rachel. And on the night of the wedding, he would test her, he'd ask her for the password. If it's the password, then it's Rachel. On the night of the wedding, when Rachel saw what's about to happen, he sees that Lavan, her father, is pulling a switch. So Rachel understands, my sisters are going to go in. She's not going to know the password. Yaakov's going to have a fit. And she's going to be embarrassed in public. I cannot expose my sister to this type of shame. And she gives Leah the password. Leah goes in, and she knows the password. Yaakov marries Leah. Okay. So the Gemara says that as a reward of the tznius of Rachel, because of her tznius, she merited to have a son who was also tzanua, a descendant, which is Shaul HaMelech, King Saul. What was the tznius of King Shaul when he was appointed king? So when his uncle asked him, what's news? He was anointed king by Shmuel HaNavi. His uncle said, what's news? And he didn't mention a word. He didn't mention a word about the being anointed king. And then he had a descendant who was tzanua, which is who? Esther. Esther. And Esther didn't tell the Megillah. She wouldn't tell anybody that she's Jewish. So that all comes from a characteristic. This is a characteristic that goes all the way back to Rachel Imenu. I only had one question when I learned this Gemara. It says because of the tznius of Rachel. What does tznius mean? Modesty, discreet, that sort of thing. I wouldn't call it tznius to give up your husband. By the way, when Rachel gives up Yaakov to Leah, she doesn't know she's going to marry Yaakov. At that moment, she's giving up her olam hazeh and possibly her olam haba. She doesn't know what's going to happen. She doesn't know that Yaakov's going to end up marrying her. And she's giving up everything to Leah. I wouldn't call that tznius. Tznius, like, you cover. I'm sure she covered her elbows, and she was very. I wouldn't call it selflessness, mesiras nefesh, right? Why does the Gemara call it tznius? Why is that regarded as tznius? That's called tznius because of her tznius and giving up the password to Leah. Question number one. Question number two, right? You understand, okay? Question number two. If you look at next week's Parsha. Later on in this Parsha, when Leah is having children one after the other, and Rachel would like to have children too. So she goes to Leah, and on page 154, Torah says that Reuven goes out, and Yaakov has now married both of them. He ends up marrying Rachel also. Then it says at the bottom of page 154, Vayelech Reuven b'mei k'tzir chitim, vayimtza dudoim basada. He finds these mandrakes. I think that's how Art Scroll translates it. Maybe Art Scroll just translates it, dudoim. And he brings them to Leah. Vatomer Rachel Leah tznina limi dudoim b'nech. Leah, let me have some of those. Those that say it was a fertility, some sort of fertility plant. She says, let me have some of those dudoim. Rachel didn't have children at this point. She says, let me have some of those dudoim. Look at Leah's response. Vatomer la, hame'at kachtech ezishi. It's not enough you took my husband? Because Yaakov favored Rachel over Leah. V'lakachas gamez dudoi b'ni. And you also want to take the dudoim? Not enough you took my husband, you want to take the dudoim? I don't understand. There's something about that bothers. It's been bothered me all the time. What bothers you?
She's taking her husband, her.
I mean, Leah, Rachel, look what Rachel did for you. I mean, if not for Rachel, she wouldn't be taking your husband because you wouldn't have him as a husband. And so she asks for some dudoim, and all of a sudden you get upset. It's not enough you took my husband. Why? You turn on her just like that? That's so quickly you turn on her? How can Leah say something like that based on that Gemara? Based on the Gemara, the Chazal say she gave her the simonim. So the answer is, what were the simonim? So we have two questions. Why is it called tznius? And how could Leah turn on Rachel like that? The answer is, what were the simonim? So I know if we think of a password, it's going to be something like, okay, that's our password. Or she said, something like, Argentina. Messi. Argentina, Messi. 1-0. Okay, that's the code. Yeah. So the answer is this. Das zekenimi bali tosos. The Tosos on Chumash. You know what they bring a medrash. You know what the code was? Yaakov taught Rachel the halachas of nida, chala, and hadlakas hanir, the three mitzvahs that women have to be involved in. And on the night of the wedding, he was going to give her a farher. Give her a test. If she knows the answers to the halacha, then she's the one. What's the stomach code like? Nida, chala, hadlakas hanir. When Rachel realized what's about to happen, she calls Leah over and she says, Leah, listen, a Jewish woman, there are certain halachas she needs to know. These are halachas. You're getting married, you need to know these halachas. She teaches Leah the halachas. Leah didn't know there was a code. Rachel disguised it in a way that she wasn't even doing a favor for Leah. She just told Leah, you need to know these halachas. So Leah now knows the halachas, and she doesn't know that Rachel's given her a code. So Rachel, that's the tznius. The tznius is not only what she did, it's how she did it. She didn't even tell Leah that what I've given you. Now when she gets there, Yaakov gives Leah the farher. She knows all the answers. Gewaldig. Leah knows all the answers. So now Yaakov thinks she's the one. So when Rachel comes to Leah next time, she says, "Could I have some of those dudoim?" What does Rachel say to her? What does Leah say to her? It's not enough you took my husband, you also want the dudoim? She doesn't know she owes her one. But what's really impressive here, I think the most impressive part of all, imagine you were Rachel. Okay, imagine, put yourself in Rachel's place. If I was Rachel, even if I could give away the simanim, and even if I could do it in such a discreet way, tremendous. My mom is tremendous. But at the point that Leah would say to me, it's not enough you took my husband. I mean, if I was Rachel, at that point I would turn and say, Leah, I think we got to talk. I think there's something you need to know. And even that she doesn't respond. That's the tznius of Rachel. That's what Yaakov Avinu was attracted to. Yaakov Avinu saw this quality in Rachel. That's what Yaakov Avinu was attracted to. That's why he marries Rachel. Okay, now what's second? So then the next day he says to Lavan, he finds out, hey, that was Leah. Whoa, what's going on here? Now I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, this guy Lavan is good. I told you he's good, right? Now watch this. I tell you, there's a reason I admire him. Watch this, right? So because bottom of page 150. Vayihi boker v'nei Leah. Vayomer Lavan. Mazos asisa li alo baracha avadati b'chol. He said, why'd you cheat me? So Lavan gives the reason. He says, Vayomer Lavan lo yasa ken b'mkomenu lo seisatzir lifnei abicher. I'm sorry, in our place we don't let the younger sister go before the older one. I had to pull a switch. Now, if you were Yaakov at that moment, what would your reaction be?
You didn't say this before.
Could you told me that 7 years ago? Oh, you just woke up now? You couldn't have told me that? And look what Yaakov's reaction is. Lavan says, just, finish Sheva brachas with Leah, and then I'll let you marry the other one for another 7 years' work. And Yaakov agrees to it. And why didn't Yaakov respond? I mean, I would have knocked the guy's block off. I just said, oh, by the way, we don't disquaint. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I forgot to mention that we don't let the younger sister go before the older. Oh, you forgot, did you? You forgot, huh? And I forgot to unlock you out of the barn, right? And I'm putting you in there for 7 years with a dog. What kind of business is this? What if you forgot? That's not what Lavan said. That's not what Lavan said. You didn't read the pasuk right, gentlemen. Look what Lavan said. Vayomer Lavan. Lavan said, Yaakov goes, hey, what's going on with the sneak over here? Sneaking this in like that. Vayomer Lavan, lo yeyasa kein bimkomenu, lo seisat seir lifnei abichara. In our place, we don't let the younger ones go ahead of the older ones. Maybe where you come from, Yaakov, younger brothers sneak things away from older brothers, right? But around here we don't do that. Oh, is he good? Oh, is he good? Because that blocks Yaakov. What's Yaakov going to say? Yeah, but I had to sneak it. Yeah, me too. Now what? Right? Blocks him up. I got no response for that. That's the worst situation in life, where you get nailed in your own contradiction. Wow. Yaakov, okay, it's good. I told you he's good. That's the base of Levi says that. He says, look, it's not lo yasa ken bim komenu. It's lo yasa ken bim komenu. Maybe where you come from, younger brothers go stealing brachas from blind old fathers. Around here, we don't do stuff like that. Sorry. Yeah, but you snuck it. So did you. Yeah, but you didn't tell me. Neither did you. Right? Boom. Yeah, right. Yeah, I love Gewaldig. I told you I admire this guy. I told you he's good. The guy's good. Right? That's it. That's what the base of Levi says. Okay, we'll continue next time.